Well, good afternoon. The peak of Mountain Cedar season is upon us. Much of San Antonio is sniffling and sneezing, even in our newsroom,
yes,
because of
even
the
on
pollen.
this anchor desk.
Well, right here, because of the pollen count, and it's through the roof at a very heavy 31,800.
But what exactly does that number mean? Eyewitness News reporter Jeremy Baker spoke to the experts and joins us live from the city's northwest side. Jeremy?
Yeah, take a look at this tree. It's called an ash juniper, not a mountain cedar tree. But when I shake it, look at all the pollen coming off this thing. That's the mountain cedar. Now the tree is the male version of the tree, which means that's the one that pollinates. And here at Fox Park Trailhead, it's making joggers miserable. We saw one with a face mask on, all because of the mountain cedar.
Cedar fever is here.
Because I feel like I got run over by a dump truck and I just cannot breathe.
It's a growing feeling shared by many as San Antonio's population booms. More people are moving here, like Elizabeth Shreve, who arrived in the Alamo City in 2011.
8 months later, when I found out I was highly allergic to cedar.
Initially, they won't have symptoms because it takes at least a year for you to develop allergies to mountain cedar.
So if you just moved here, cedar fever may be lurking around the corner for you.
Mountain cedar season can start as early as late November, and it will run through, usually we say about Valentine's Day, but it can even extend into March.
Pollen counts are measured using a volumetric sampler. Pollen particles are drawn into the sampler and land on an adhesive-coated microscope slide. The number of grains are physically counted under a microscope, and based on that number and a mathematical equation, the pollen count can be determined. That number tells us how many of those particles are found in a cubic foot of air. Today, that is 31,800. Getting to that number can be a painstaking process.
With it being so high, it took about 30 minutes because I've got to count every pollen grain on that period of time, on that timestamp.
That high number means more suffering, and experts say if you know you're allergic, start taking your meds early.
It's about 2 weeks before we anticipate the season coming in. The reason for that is it takes a while for these medicines to start working.
Just stop it. Stop making pollen. They don't listen, and they're also sharp. I cut myself on it shaking it. Now, Gonzalez also told me the way to tell the difference between cedar fever and the flu or respiratory illness, with cedar fever, you don't get chills, aches, or a fever. Live on the city's northwest side, Jeremy Baker, KENS 5 Eyewitness News.